Hi, everybody. Well, we got shut down on that opening song. We never know what the deal is there. It seemed like a nice song, but sometimes they just monetize, and sometimes YouTube does what they did there. They completely shut down the event, screw us, and we have to create a new event. So we're just going to continue without finishing that song, which is unfortunate because we liked it. And here's Eniko.
Hi, everybody. Sorry about that, John. Next time we got to make sure our vet does much better. Um,
Not
but
your fault.
I was about to say, everyone, welcome to our live stream of Bernie's Chicago rally. He's going to be speaking at Chicago State University in downtown Chicago. He's going to be speaking from the Emil and Patricia Jones Convocation Center. And we have with us Ryan Lavacek. Hi, Ryan. He's our
Hi,
co-host tonight.
Nico.
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing today?
Pretty good. And Alice is our on-air comment mod today. Hi, Alice.
Hey, how are you?
Hi,
Good, thank
Alice.
you. And we have Dave H. on off-air comment mod, and John's in the control room, of course. We don't have Janine here, which, if we had Janine here, we might not have had such a rough start. Maybe she would have known what to do. Um, but that's okay. We're just going to continue on. We're going to just talk about a few topics before the rally starts. First, I wanted to kind of talk about the corruption and the economy and the devaluation of labor, Ryan. I think Robert Reich and Paul Krugman, before this whole campaign started, I was a Krugman fan, and I still respect Krugman quite a bit. But he is supporting Hillary, and there are a few unwinding threads, basically, in their perspectives on the economy. Because Robert Reich is supporting Bernie and believes that Bernie's economic plan is the right one. And so do the top 170 economists that wrote a letter supporting Bernie. Did you see that, Ryan? And how do you
I
feel
did,
about it?
and I think there's another list too that's up over 200 people who are supporting the fight for 15 too. So his ideas economically do have support from big name economists, even though the mainstream media and Hillary Clinton doesn't seem to be letting that on very much. She seems to be taking credit for having all of the support from these big economists, but I think Bernie's plan has just as much support from just as many notable people, and it has the support of the general population, which is even more important.
Absolutely. And Robert Reich, in this article in Salon, basically he specifies why he doesn't believe that Krugman is correct. And the economic plan that Hillary has, like we all know, it's more incremental, and she's only for the $12, not the $15. And we see that the $15 an hour raise worked in, I believe it was Seattle, wasn't it? Or was it Portland?
Seattle,
It was
Seattle's one
Seattle.
of them, and a couple other cities too. San
Yeah,
Francisco, I think.
and they're working great. Their economies are booming. The businesses have not been hurt, and really to take a little fat off the top and redistribute that income to where it originally would have been going. We all know that the incomes stagnated and the profits soared. And so we have to make that adjustment and bring that back into a balance.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's pretty clear we've had 30 years now of Reaganomics and trickle down economics and things like that, and clearly it's not working. And Hillary and her incremental change and her approach of we're doing this a little bit at a time and this is what's possible, and that's all great and everything, but the people don't have time in a lot of cases to wait for these changes to go into effect with that mentality and that approach. There's not time. There are starving families and people living on the streets, and when Bernie talks about those people and about his, and I know he always quotes it now, his radical ideas to help those people. For anyone to come on and say that he's being too idealistic or dreaming too big, I think is undermining the American way and the hopes and dreams of these people who are just trying to get by.
Absolutely. I agree with that. And in the article, it says that at the core of the establishment are the major corporations, the top executives, the Washington lobbyists and trade associations, Wall Street banks, their top officers, traders, hedge fund and private equity managers. All of these people kind of work in sync to make this system work for themselves. And so, of course, when they see us coming, the people, they see that we realize what's happening and the big changes that we want to make. They're scared, I think, and justifiably scared, because they are going to lose that kind of power. Financially, they will have to sacrifice, like Bernie says. They will pay their fair share of taxes. If you don't want this society to collapse, if you want to be able to market your products and your services, you've got to have a population to be able to use it. And if you allow this society to collapse by such wealth concentration at the top, we're not going to be able to buy your products or use your services because we're all going to be too poor.
And I think it's funny too with a lot of the endorsements that get made or the people that come out in favor of Hillary's plan or kind of undermining Bernie's. It's once you understand that there's this system, that there is the establishment, once you understand that, it's almost funny to see these people come out and say that Bernie's plans are unrealistic or that they can't happen, because you trace back their special interests and which group they belong to, like you said, and they all commingle and they're all looking out for their own pockets and everything. And it's just so funny because you see these people saying, oh yeah, Bernie's plans aren't doable, they'll never be accomplished. And it's like, well, that's because you have so much to lose from his plan.
Right.
Of course you're going to come out and try to talk people against it and everything because your wallet is going to be a little thinner afterwards, not ours.
Exactly. And the fact that their wallet would be a little thinner, Ryan, really wouldn't even, do anything to their lifestyle. I mean,
poor billionaires.
Right, exactly. I'm going to have to get a smaller yacht. But people are starving, and it's a balance that we have to strike as a nation. It's not like we don't want people to be rich, and we don't want to have people living up to their full potential and having their wonderful businesses, and that's great. But just pay your fair share to maintain this damn society. It really makes me angry, and I think they're setting up this paradigm where it's them against us, and the police and the military are like their tools. Like they are using them against us, and we're not going to let that happen because, I am a kind of person who, will say, okay, fuck the police, okay? But at the same time, I also respect the police because I know we need them. So it's a very double-edged sword for me. I want to scream it at the rooftops, but I also don't want to make this false assumption where I'm against all cops, because I know we need them in our society. It's just we need them to be, we need them to not be corrupt. And if I could tell you a personal story, on my way over here from Europe, I was on a train, and this is me as a little kid, and one of the soldiers took something from our bag, and I wanted to say something to my mom, like, hey, Mom, what the fuck is he doing? And my mom just shushed me and grabbed me and said, don't say another word or we're not going to cross this border. This was before the EU. And so I realized right at a very young age, okay, there are people in uniforms that are liars and steal. And then we came to America, and I was like, but not the American cops. They're not corrupt like those Romanian cops. and soldiers. And so I grew up thinking, okay, these are like the, true to themselves cops, and this is not like the system back there that we escaped from. And really, I realize, of course, over the years that it's everywhere. No matter where you are, there are going to be corrupt officials, cops, congressmen, military people, whatever, what have you. But what we need to do as a society is realize that and say, hey, now we've got to create a system of transparency where they can't get away with it, where we're going to be their watchdogs.
Yeah, and it's whether it's police or elected politicians, they're public servants, and I think that has been lost, is that their jobs are to serve the people and to represent the people, and there isn't that representation in Congress or in the police department or anything. Bernie always says that our police force needs to represent the neighborhoods that they are policing, whether that means like racially or financially or whatever. It's important that they are part of that community and representing the people there, because that way they understand the needs and the concerns of the people that they are either representing as an elected official or policing as a policeman. They understand the needs and wants of their community, and I think that would make them a lot more efficient, and you wouldn't have those stories like you just told. I mean, I can just add really quick that I laugh all the time because I'll be driving down the street and a cop will pull out behind me and start following me, and my first reaction is to be terrified and worried. And you'd think it would be to be self-assured, like the guy whose job it is to protect me is driving right behind me, but that's not the reality anymore. And
Right.
I'm a suburban white kid, so that's
So
it's
you're the
even
cream of the
less of a,
crop. They shouldn't pick
yeah,
on you,
right? They
right?
should,
I
yeah.
mean, white guys shouldn't be worried, right? Only the black people have to be worried. Okay, this is insanity. And yes, exactly. When I see a cop behind me, I don't think, oh, good, someone's here to protect me in case somebody tries to rob me or something like that. I think, holy crap, this cop is following me for some unknown reason, and I have to be scared. It's the fear factor. They've kind of like conditioned us to be afraid of them so that, we're afraid to dissent and complain. And that's how it was when people started to complain in a communist society. Those people disappeared. Ask my dad. Okay, activists, lawyers who protected activists started disappearing, and that's how they handled the situation. So we, as a society, cannot let our country drift in that direction any further. We have to take control of it, and that's it. We can't let it happen. And what I was going to say, sorry, I almost lost my train of thought, but what I was going to say was they create this disparity between us and them, and then when the shit hits the fan and the cops have to protect the, high and mighty elites and their riches, when are they going to turn? I mean, are the cops and military going to eventually say, okay, you know what? We can't do this. I'm going to put my gun down. I'm not going to stomp on this person's head. I'm not going to shoot this person, unarmed person. Those decisions as individuals, they have to make, right? I mean, there's
Right.
nothing we can do to make them do that. But to say, hey, we're a free country, we're a free society. Don't you want to stay that way?
I think it's important to stress what you said earlier, that there is corruption at every level, and that needs to be recognized and handled. But it also needs to be put in the perspective that there are plenty of police officers or politicians out there who are fighting the good fight and do have the best intentions in mind and everything. And when you think of it that way, when you think of it as just parts of the whole are corrupt and parts of the whole are diseased, then you need to remember that it's our responsibility to take care of those people and get them out of office, or, in the case of the police, as Bernie has planned, hold them accountable. If a police officer or an elected official breaks the law, they should be held accountable the same way you and I would be. And it's just a part of being an active member of democracy and an active member of your community, your state, and your country. It's, it's a burden and a blessing that we live in a democracy, or, are trying to live in a democracy, as it were. But part of it is you need to be involved. And if you're unhappy with the corruption, it's the years that we just let things slide that allowed them to get as bad as they are now, if you ask me.
Absolutely. I agree. And like you said, we have to speak up. And that's one of the things that Killer Mike was talking about the other day is don't just sit there. Speak up. Dissent is your right. And the article about Killer Mike, he wants it to be protected under the First Amendment. That lyrics, hip-hop, his article talks about hip-hop because there is so much truth in the lyrics that musicians write, because we're writing what we see around us. We are capturing that narrative. And so if they find something in our words that is, that they frightens them, well, they're going to stifle us. And that's exactly what Killer Mike says we can't allow them to do. And Bernie's reform plans, I think, acknowledge everybody's right to dissent.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree with you that as an artist, you are commentating on the world around you, and if the powers that be or anyone aren't happy with lyrics to a Killer Mike song, you need to look at the bigger picture and fix what he's rapping about. Don't fix the rap.
Exactly. You hit the nail on the head. He wouldn't be talking about things if they weren't the problems that we are seeing that need to be addressed. There is a video I wanted to show.
Hey, sorry, can I jump in for 1 second?
Yes, please,
sure.
Alex.
Sorry,
guys. I was waiting for a prompt from you guys to check this out. I'll just dive in here. We have, I'm not sure how many people we have watching, but we had some random conversation.
60.
Okay, thank you.
More than 160. No, you've got almost
160.
180 people. Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Hey, everybody. But we had, I guess Bernie just finished on an interview with Chris Matthews, and everyone thought Chris Matthews was a jerk. And apparently Rachel Maddow also was not saying very nice things about him, saying he was the underdog again. So yeah, I guess we'll see how he does in the rally. So yeah, that's the report from the chat.
What are some of the questions in the chat? I'm sorry.
Oh, no, they were just talking about the interviews that Bernie was doing before this, and so people were watching like other live streams as well as us, apparently.
Yeah, it was like the Chris Matthews college tour or something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I did see that. That was like the prior speech, and then he's like coming to another part of the same university. I think it's at the same university, in different areas. And now he's going to come, and his speech, I think, is going to start at 8 o'clock or 8:30?
8:30, I think.
8:30, yeah.
So how do you guys feel about Maddow? That's a question that came up, because she's kind of flip-flopped between like being pro-Bernie or seeming to be pro-Bernie, and then being sort of less pro-Bernie. So where do you guys think she stands? I can't really figure it out.
I mean, I think...
Ryan, you go ahead, yeah.
All right, sure. I think that Rachel Maddow is a victim of mainstream media. I think she's keeping her real opinions to herself as to not lose her job or get in any sort of trouble. I think with her history, I think she is a true liberal, and that makes me think that personally, off camera, in the privacy of her own home, she would be a Bernie supporter. But it's sad. She can't bite the hand that feeds, so.
I can't imagine having to do that. I am so glad that Bernie TV is here because I get to just talk about Bernie whenever I want with a whole bunch of awesome people instead of, having to keep it to myself all the time. So thanks, guys.
Yeah.
You're awesome.
I agree with your assessment, Ryan. I think she, underneath it, wants to burst out for Bernie, but she has to contain herself. And I think she has to prove that she's, like a journalist. I mean, I'm wearing a Bernie shirt. Our name is Bernie 2016 TV. We are, biased towards Bernie's truth because we believe what he's saying. So, but, we are reporters and journalists, but really, we're not professionals. I'm not a professional. I've never done journalism in my life before this campaign. So, if a journalist like Rachel Maddow, starts to, wear a Bernie shirt or,
but I have to say, a lot of journalists seem to be using a lot of
their
their pro-Hillary rhetoric.
Yeah.
So there is that kind of other side to the coin. It's like a lot of people are just like, Bernie's never going to make it, and so there's an underlying bias that isn't, that apparently the corporate media is totally fine with.
Well, that's because I don't think it has as much to do with journalistic integrity as it does to do with the telecommunications people wanting Hillary Clinton and not Bernie Sanders. I don't think it has anything to do with not coming off as biased, because they certainly come off as biased.
Yeah, exactly.
Can I ask a question of all three of you guys? I'm listening to this conversation, and what about somebody like Van Jones? He's already come out. I mean, he feels the burn. Made very strong statements for Bernie. He's not losing his job, is he? I guess when I hear you, I used to be a fan of Maddow too, Iniko, but when you said her journalistic, or she's a professional, there's no journalistic integrity there if you're shilling. And she's basically shilling to keep a paycheck. And at some point, my question to all of you is, don't you think these journalists are going to have to make a decision, right? Be a journalist or take a paycheck, right? Make your choice.
Great. No, I think Van Jones is a great example to cite someone who is walking the tightrope very well. Because, I mean, I follow his Twitter account, and he's always saying, I'll call anybody out if they need to be called out, but, if they say something, that is worth, that's a positive thing, I'm going to mention that too. So.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, the super suspicious side of me is hoping that it's not just like, oh, here you go, Van Jones, you can speak your mind honestly, and that'll make everyone think that we're not incredibly biased one way or the other. But I think that there still are honest journalists out there who, like you said, Alice, will call it like they see it, and if there's bullshit to be called out, then they'll call it out. I mean, it's hard from a rational point of view without a big paycheck coming into your pocket to support Hillary Clinton, in my opinion. So if he's supporting Bernie and coming out and saying it publicly on the network, then maybe there's hope for us yet.
Right? Well, right? The other day, Bernie was talking about the TPP, and they cut away from him as he was about to denounce the TPP. And, it makes me think, well, is it really the network owners' influence that allowed that to happen, or that individual broadcaster, or what? How does that work? How does that work that when he starts talking about the TPP, we're going to turn the camera away?
Yeah, it's a slippery slope of conspiracy theories when you start reading into this stuff and wondering if there is a deeper message behind something like that, where they are trying to stifle a certain agenda message that Bernie has that maybe these executives don't want out there.
And is it worth it? I mean, is it worth it for them to stifle it because really we have the internet. We already know. We can have access to the information. So we just have to seek it out. I think they trust in the fact that most people won't seek out further information.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. That's definitely what it is. Because everything well, not everything, but a lot of what they report can be disproven or questioned by sources on the internet. They are relying on their audience to soak in 3 hours of MSNBC and then take it as oath, take it as this is the news.
Mm-hmm.
And they don't want people independently fact checking or digging or looking deeper into any of this stuff, because that's what I was saying before. Once you know about the establishment, there's no going back. You see it everywhere. You see the influence. You follow the money, and it answers all your questions.
Yeah. And mainstream media is not conducive to this type of conversation, the engagement thing. If you hear something on TV, you're going to hear 3 commercials, and by the time you get back, you don't even remember what the fuck you were talking about. Whereas long-form discussion type of shows or investigative type stuff, I think people's curiosity is piqued maybe, and if you really are interested in that issue, you'll look further. But let me jump to Alice real quick and check in with the chat before we move to our next subject.
Okay.
Guys, we may have the event may have just started. Before we move into that, let me just check audio here. I think we're going to go live. I think an introductory speaker is up right now.
Cool.
I just want to tell you that I am really excited about Bernie Sanders for president.
And here we go for it.
And I have members of my family working in 4 states for him. My oldest grandson's working for him in Bloomington, Indiana at the University of Indiana. My daughter teaches at the University of Iowa, and she and her husband are supporters of Bernie. And of course, I'm working for him in Illinois. And my brother is working for him in Washington State, so we support him. This is a man who can get the public excited about voting in America. And I want you all to know that every vote counts. I started my political career with a 1-vote margin, my first election. And now I'm the first woman mayor of Urbana. But I don't believe I'll go to hell if I don't support a woman for president in the primary. So, I'd like to introduce Darren Martin, who is a student at Chicago State. Darren.
Good evening, good evening. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming here to our lovely university at the Chicago State University. Thank you. Thank you all for coming out here tonight to support Bernie Sanders. There are 2 things that I'm going to let you all know that I love about Bernie. Number 1, he wants to break up Wall Street. Number 2, he's an advocate for free higher education in the nation. I thank you all for that, because guess what? Here at Chicago State, we're going through a situation where, because our state has not passed a budget, funding is a little bit out of whack for us. But that is okay. We will come out of this and we will survive, because we are Chicago State University. I'm here to let you all know some information. There's been information from the state of Illinois that says they want to support HB 6409. I'm here to let you know, my mother needs LIHEAP. She is a senior, she's 73 years old. She does not need her services cut to fund me for higher education. That's why I did not ask her to sign a Parent Plus loan for me. because I need to pay for my own education. And if the state of Illinois will fund MAP grants and fund higher education, my education will be paid for. I thank Bernie for that. This situation is unheard of and unprecedented, but that is okay, because what I do know is black education is good for my health. Save CSU, budget or else. So what I'm asking for you all to do tonight is to let it be known, hashtag it, let it be known, save CSU. Make sure that we are here. Make sure education matters. As well as all Black Lives Matter, higher education matters, degrees matter. And thank you for this opportunity and this lovely moment, because without this moment, we would not be able to let you all know how deep and we can make moves to make more better decisions for us. So I thank you all for that. I thank you all for understanding. And just to let you all know, support higher education and support all public universities across the nation, especially in the state of Illinois and across the nation. Thank you. And now, without further ado, I would like to introduce to you all a community activist by the name of Jamal Green.
All right, Chicago, do you feel the burn? That's what I'm talking about. Bernie Sanders, Senator Sanders has to be ready for this crowd, right? I'm here today to take a walk down memory lane. I'm supposed to be in South Carolina right now, but I said, Senator Sanders, I gotta be in my own city to talk to my own crowd of residents. I love Chicago so much. Chicago, make some noise for yourselves. All right. So from the ripe age of 22, Senator Sanders recognized the dream. He marched and protested and even got arrested not too far from here because he recognized that dream. So that's why I'm supporting Senator Sanders, a man I like to call the American dream. See, through our history, our greatest accomplishment started with a dream. It was a dream to be able to walk on the moon, fly an airplane, drive a car, even to ride a bike. One man dreamed that you and I, my white brothers, my black brothers, can all sit in a room together and unify for something that they believed in. That same man had another dream that has yet to be accomplished. It was a dream that we not be judged by the color of our skin, but by the content of our character. And yet every day, African Americans face police brutality, specifically for being black. See, this is a funny thing. See, when the color changes from white to black, a police officer's mindset changes from protecting and serving to provoke and shoot. So that's one dream. That's one dream that Senator Sanders is working to make a reality. That when an officer breaks the law, they should be held accountable just as common men would. See, Senator Sanders, he wants to ensure that if someone gets 16 shots, it's not followed up by a cover-up. that selling untaxed cigarettes is not punishable by death. And that police speak for the communities they serve rather than cover up for their comrades. See, we also have a problem loving ourselves in our community. A lack of jobs, education, and chances for upward mobility increase the presence of bullet cases in our streets. Walking home from the park isn't safe anymore. Playing video games at a friend's house isn't safe anymore. Rest in peace to Matthew Williams. Yeah. Our neighborhoods have become less friendly and more fearful, and jobs can remedy that. See, Senator Sanders has a dream to create jobs that has the potential to once again bind our communities. Instead of shifting through our loved ones' remains, we'll be working through 8-hour shifts. Friday nights will be spent cashing checks at an increased minimum wage of $15. And once again, our communities will be stimulated with love instead of simulated war zones. See, as children, we all have dreams. Most of those dreams require education and formal training. Due to the increase of college tuition, education has become less a right and more so a gateway drug whose slippery slopes leads to excessive debt. With the dream of Senator Sanders, education for everyone will be free, so we can focus on building a future instead of paying for our past. See, this is an important race for us, Chicago. We have a chance to restore hope in our youth by making these dreams come true. By electing a man who understands that all people have a right to live the American dream. The dream to grow up in a society where you don't have to be afraid to walk in the park or afraid of police. And a dream where you can get a job at a fair wage. Even if we cannot achieve these dreams for our generation, Senator Sanders' plans could open up the door for our children and our children's children to achieve dreams of their own. And so that you can hold your kid in your arm. You can hold your kid in your arm and tell them that they can do anything that they want to do. Believe in everything that they believe in. And they can achieve anything that they want to achieve. So, Chicago, understand that I do this for my 4-month-old son. I do this for my 4-month-old son, so he don't have to fight for these things when he get older. And he can come up and live the American dream. See, everyone says that Senator Sanders' ideas are just dreams. But understand that Martin Luther King's dreams was too. And we're here today. So, I want you guys to understand, we're holding a fundraiser tonight, right in this very room, because we should invest in dreams. We should invest in dreams. So everyone can pull out their phones and text GIVE to 82623, and it will charge $10 straight to your phone bill to donate to Senator Sanders' campaign. So, and I also have a dream, Chicago, that on March 15th, we will all march to the polls. We will all march to the polls. And we will march to the polls to say yes to Bernie Sanders, yes to Senator Sanders being the Democratic nominee for President of the United States of America. Thank you so much, Chicago. I love you. So I want to introduce Bernie, Bernie, Bernie. I love you guys so much, Chicago. The energy is there. Keep up that energy for Senator Sanders tonight. And I want to introduce our next speaker. He's almost coming up. You guys got to be ready for him. Our next speaker is State Rep Carol Ammons. Give her a hand, guys.
Good evening, Chicago. I wasn't sure if you were feeling the burn, so I need to ask you again, are we in Chicago feeling the burn? My name is State Representative Carol Ammons. I am the prodigal daughter of this great city, representing Champaign-Urbana in the great state of Illinois. That's all right. We are on hallowed ground here tonight. I want you to know that Chicago State University opened its doors in a leaky railroad freight car in Blue Island, Illinois, September 2nd, 1867. Chicago State University is the home of 80% African American students. Students who believe. I am not unlike many of you. I grew up not far from here, the mother of a young, beautiful daughter at the age of 19. They told me that I wouldn't make it. I would not be standing on this stage with you all tonight. They told me that I would be on welfare. That's what they said. And they told me that I wouldn't have a future because I had made a few mistakes in my life. But I'm standing here to you today to tell you that we have a champion among us. We have a champion who believed in me before I was even born. He believed in the cause of our people. For all of the years that I have served in local government as a community organizer and activist, before I came here tonight, I held a press conference, really serious press conference about police brutality in Champaign, Illinois. Bernie Sanders believes that African Americans and people of our community should be protected and not abused by the police. I believe that. I have to ask you all a few questions that might be a bit radical. But you tell me whether this is radical or not. Is it radical that people should have free college education in the United States of America? Is it radical that we should stop incarcerating the world's population in the United States of America? Is it a radical idea that police should be held accountable when they violate the rights of the citizens of our country? Is health care for all people a radical idea? Or maybe a minimum wage of $15 an hour, is that radical? I tell you one thing that I've learned in my political career, is sometimes you just can't follow the Pied Piper. Sometimes they play the music and they get your attention with the song and dance, and you forget all about the policies that they're passing. But I tell you one thing, it is not a radical idea to have the first African American from Central Illinois since 1818 stand on this stage tonight and endorse Senator Bernie Sanders. to lull them to sleep, with his I to lull them to sleep, with his I believe in education speech. They looked at him and booed him like they were supposed to do. It is our job today to tell the truth about what's going on in the political system. It is our job today to not stand on the sidelines. It is our job today to make sure that it is not a radical idea to fund early childhood education without turning over the whole house to the person who cut it. When we leave tonight, you're going to watch the news, and they're going to say, well, black people aren't quite supporting Senator Sanders. I want you to know that I am African American. I am a black woman. I am an elected official, and I am supporting Senator Sanders here tonight. Feel the burn. It is my pleasure to introduce my colleague. Stand up for my colleague, LaShawn Ford.
Carol Ammons, all the way from rural Illinois. I feel the burn, and I've been feeling the burn about Bernie Sanders since he announced. And I just so happen to be an African American. But you know, America needs a leader that has a conscience. And if today is not an example of a conscience leader, I don't know what is. Because Chicago State universities all over America are in trouble, and where does Bernie Sanders go? To Chicago State. Now, that's an example of a leader that we need. I know something else about Bernie Sanders that you may know. I know he will be standing up for all of us for income inequality. I know that Bernie Sanders will stand up against Putin. Everybody thinks that he's not big on fighting foreign policies, but I know Bernie Sanders will stand up against Putin. Bernie Sanders will stand up against the people, the big banks. Bernie Sanders will stand up against the big PACs. Bernie Sanders will make sure that everyone that wants to go to college has an opportunity to go to college. Isn't that what America is all about? What if we had a president that believed everyone has a right to see a doctor? Well, Bernie Sanders says that you have a right to see a doctor in America. What if you had a president that said, I believe that there are too many people in jail in America, and far too many people not in college? Bernie Sanders said by the end of his first term, there would be fewer people incarcerated than when he first started office. We need a president that believes in that. So I think that we all have a responsibility to make sure that people understand that we have a chance, an opportunity in America to elect a conscious leader in Bernie Sanders. Now, the next speaker is going to be Chuy Garcia. Now, Chuy Garcia, come on up, Chuy.
Wow. Chicago State University is full to the rafters. Chicagoland, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois, feeling the burn big time. Woo! What an exciting moment in the history of U.S. politics. Thanks to Bernie Sanders for making it a reality and keeping the flame alive. Feel the burn. Woo. You know, it's great to be at this public institution of higher learning. Chicago State University, the Emil and Patricia Jones Center. I want to salute Senator Emil Jones, the former president of the Illinois Senate, for championing this public institution of higher learning. So we're on Chicago's South Side, and Senator Jones was one of the people who understood and understands the importance of public education in leveling the playing field and allowing everyone to be able to get an education, to prepare for the future, to make contributions to society, and to open doors for all of those who have experienced discrimination and barriers. Yes, and we're assembled here at the Jones Center tonight also because Emil Jones has had the foresight. We used to call him the Godfather in Springfield. We called him the Godfather because he was, in fact, Barack Obama's godfather in shepherding him to run for the U.S. Senate from Illinois, and then to the White House, and becoming the historic president that he has become. So a salute to Godfather, Senator President Emil Jones tonight. Delighted to be here with all of the working men and women, with all of the students, with all the educators and the teachers in the house, with the student body, with all the students from Chicago State University. People at the forefront of the fight for public education for all in our country, so important. And you'll hear Senator Sanders talk more about the challenge of access and financing for public education so that everyone, especially those of us who have had the opportunity to be the first in our family to get a college education, can open doors for everyone coming after us. So tonight, another special salute to all the teachers and educators in the House, especially the Chicago Teachers Union, the Illinois Federation of Teachers, and everyone else. And everyone else who is making the fight for public education. A special shout out to United Working Families and United Working Families Party, and to all union members in the House and those organizing to become members of unions, and for a living wage, $15 an hour. So, my 2 minutes are almost up and I haven't gone into Spanish yet. Estaba vacilando, don't worry. So I want to tell you just two more things tonight. One is that everywhere that I have been with Bernie Sanders, in New Hampshire, in Iowa, in Nevada, everywhere where we've traveled, it's the same everywhere I go. I see, I feel, and I hear the burn. And we're gathered here tonight in a house that's full to the rafters to tell everyone in Illinois that Illinois is not on lockdown, that Illinois is at play, and that we intend to work for the next 2.5 weeks to put Illinois in the Bernie Sanders column, the winning column. Just saying. That's right. Now, I suspect that after tonight, they'll be saying that, well, Illinois was supposed to be Hillary's house because she hails from here. But in fact, Illinois and the surrounding states are our home and our house, and we take care of our houses and our homes, right? So remember, in Illinois, early voting begins on Monday. Are you ready to vote? So make sure that your roommate votes. Make sure that your household gets out and early votes. And then begin working on your block, begin working on your neighborhood, get everyone out to vote. Early voting begins on Monday. Are you ready? Thought so. Oh, I have a sense that the burn is arriving to Chicago State University. I see signs. I feel vibrations. He is near. Bernie, can you hear us? Bernie! So, can you hear us, Bernie? So, yes. So, sisters and brothers, this campaign is already historic. The wave of people coming together across race, ethnicity, and faith, LGBT and straight and everyone else, is the real expression of the power of the people. You have already made history by competing and getting us to Illinois. The amount of contributions from small amounts, $5, $10, $15. I gave a big contribution of $35 today with my wife's permission because I'm feeling the burn. So look, there's gonna be a big party on Tuesday, March the 15th. It's going to be at my house. It's going to be at your house. It's going to be all over Chicago. It's going to be all over the burbs. It's going to be all over Illinois because Illinois is feeling the burn. We're going to make history. Our next president will be Bernie Sanders. Let's go out there and win. Thank you. I just saw him. He's in the house. So we're going to get right down to business. To introduce him tonight, I have the privilege, the honor, and the fun of telling you this is one of the prestigious, down-to-earth, smartest faculty members of Chicago State University. He's also the national spokesman for the Rainbow Coalition across America. Brothers and sisters, join me in welcoming to the stage Brother Professor Jonathan Jackson.
Welcome to Chicago State University. I am Professor Jonathan Jackson. I have the privilege, the pleasure of being a professor here. We are going through a fiscally challenging time, and I can't thank Senator Bernie Sanders for coming to Chicago State to feel the pain that the young people are feeling all across Chicagoland. But let me tell you something personal about Senator Sanders. It was 1984 and I was 18 years of age. And after my first opportunity to vote for my father, the Reverend Jesse Jackson, I went to Vermont. If you can imagine leaving the South Side to go to Vermont, Burlington. And to see that so many people were unsure what was going on. But there was a man who had arms wide open that said we need to have coalition politics right here in the state of Vermont. That person was Senator Bernie Sanders. Mr. Sanders would not know that story, but it touched me deeply. And so oftentimes it's very difficult and painful, if you can imagine, to introduce a politician. And I stay away from it like a plague. But I'm not going to introduce to you a politician. I'm going to introduce to you a true American statesman. Why should we support Senator Sanders? This is why this is easy for me to do. Because I don't have to say what Bernie is going to do. I can tell you, just look back over the things he's always fought for, the things he's never stopped believing in. When a University of Chicago graduate student is willing to go to jail and be arrested in 1962, and it's not popular, it's not convenient. Why did he do it? Because it was the right thing to do. In 1963, when many people did not love and cherish the Reverend Martin Luther King, why did Bernie Sanders go to Washington, D.C.? Because it was the right thing to do. In 1984 and 88, when my father, Reverend Jesse Jackson, ran for president, why did Bernie Sanders endorse him 2 times and became a delegate 2 times? Because it was the right thing to do. Why did Senator Bernie Sanders endorse President Barack Obama when it was not popular or convenient? Because it was the right thing to do. A man that you can look back over his life, over his history, and it's unflinching. He's the same Senator Bernie Sanders today, of yesterday, and into the future. Now, I can't tell you who to vote for, but I can tell you one thing. If you want affordable health care, there's only one candidate. If you want someone that fought against the war in Iraq when it wasn't popular, there's only one. If you want someone to stop the banks and their egregious, deplorable behavior on pickpocketing the American public, there's only one choice. If you want an opportunity to pursue a career, to have a stable job, to make sure you can retire in dignity, we can bring our troops back home, there's only one. In conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I've met many elected officials, but to see a man that has dedicated his life his living, and has been so consistent for so long. Let me say it another way. Senator Sanders has been leaving and standing up and fighting for what he's doing today longer than I've been alive. No more politics as usual. The Reverend Martin Luther King says, cowardice will ask the question, is it correct? Vanity will ask the question, is it popular? But consciousness must ask the question, is it right? Ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters, I am proud to introduce to you a friend of mine, a man I can say thank you for having stood with us, who's never changed, the right Senator, next President of the United States, Bernie Sanders.
Thank you. Whoa. Thank you. Thank you. Whoa. What a turnout. Thank you so much. What a turnout. Thank you all for coming out tonight. Let me thank Laurel Pressing and Darren Martin and Jamal Green. Let me thank Chuy Garcia and LaShawn Ford. And let me thank Jonathan Jackson for that vibrant introduction. You know, today has been a difficult day for me, and I'll tell you why. We were in Flint, Michigan earlier this afternoon, and we had a town meeting there, and we heard from the people. It was hard for me to believe, and it is emotionally very difficult to believe that what is going on in Flint, Michigan today is happening in the United States of America in the year 2016. And I'm not gonna even talk about it for a long time because it is so painful. It is so horrific in terms of what is happening to children, to children's intellectual development in America today. And then I come here, and I find out that this great university is also being threatened with cuts. What is going on in America? Where are our priorities? How does it happen that we allow a great city to undergo incredible destruction? How does it happen that we are making it harder for young people to get the education they need? You know, I have been criticized in this campaign for thinking too big. You know, oh my goodness. But I want to tell you something. You want to hear big and radical things? I'll tell you. Okay. Here is big and radical. In the last 30 years in this country, there has
Yeah, we've lost Scott, folks. Apologize for that. Looks like he's trying to reconnect. Not sure what happened with the stream. Everything was going fine. Usually when this happens, it only takes us a couple minutes to get that back. So please hold on with us. We've got almost 1,000 people hanging here. Really appreciate you being here. Great speech by Bernie. Great intro speech by Chuy and several other people. And Chuy Garcia and several other people there. Awesome. We'll have Scott back in just a moment. I'll run some memes. Thanks for being with us.
A system that together we are going to change, and change profoundly. We don't want to see a nation in which we have more people in jail. We want to see a nation where we're the best educated people, where our kids have decent jobs. Now, the reason that our campaign is gaining momentum is we're doing something pretty unusual for American politics. Instead of listening to billionaire campaign donors, we are listening to the American people. And this is what we are hearing in Illinois and all across this country. We are hearing from people who say, we can't make it on $9 or $10 an hour. I remember being in Detroit last year, talking to a bunch of young people. They were working at McDonald's at $7.25 an hour. They couldn't even get 40 hours a week. They had to do 20 hours, get on a bus to go to another place, get on a bus to go to another place. That is why we are going to raise the minimum wage to $15 an hour. It is not a radical idea to say that anyone who works in this country full-time should not be living in poverty. And while the media may not pay a lot of attention to it, we are listening to senior citizens and disabled veterans all over this country. And you know what they're saying? They're saying we can't make it on $11,000 or $12,000 a year Social Security. We can't buy the medicine that we need. We can't keep our homes warm. We can't buy the food that we need. That is not the way we treat our parents and grandparents. And that is not the way we treat disabled veterans who put their lives on the line to defend us. Now, some of my Republican colleagues in the Senate, they want to cut Social Security. We've got news for them. We're not going to cut Social Security benefits. We're going to expand Social Security benefits. I've been going all over this country, and I've been hearing from young people. And what they say is, Bernie, it is crazy that just because I went to college, I am now $50,000, $80,000, $100,000 in debt. Now, I want you to think about it. Everybody in this room knows that education is an inherent part of who we are as human beings, and you all know that if we're going to compete successfully in the global economy, we need the best educated workforce in the world. True? Why are people being punished for getting a college education? They should be rewarded, not punished. Why is anybody in the world talking about shutting down colleges? What we should be talking about is making public colleges and universities tuition free. Does anybody really think, I grew up in a family, didn't have a whole lot of money. My dad came to this country, dropped out of high school. My mother never went to college. But does anybody in this room think that it is a radical idea to say that all of our kids who have the ability and the qualifications should be able to go to college regardless of the income of their family? Is that a radical idea? It surely is not. It already exists in Germany, countries all over this world. I want every child in this country in the 3rd grade, in the 5th grade, to know that if he or she takes school seriously, does well in school, those kids will be able to get a college education no matter what their family status is. By the way, just to make clear about how we're going to pay for the proposal to make public colleges and universities tuition-free and substantially reduce student debt. You know how we're going to do that? We're going to impose a tax on Wall Street speculation. Everybody here knows that the greed and the recklessness and illegal behavior of Wall Street drove this country into the worst economic downturn since the 1930s, all right? And Wall Street, after destroying the economy, went begging to the Congress, bail us out, bail us out. Well, now it is Wall Street's turn to help the middle class of this country. This campaign is listening to women. And what women are saying is, how does it happen that we are making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men? And if you are an African American woman, the numbers are even worse. And I know that every man in this arena tonight will stand with the women in the fight for pay equity. And we are listening to our brothers and sisters in the African American community. And they are saying, how does it happen that unarmed African Americans are being shot and killed by police departments? They are saying, how does it happen that African Americans are far more likely to get criminal records for smoking marijuana than whites? Or get stopped by the police when they're in their vehicles more than whites? And what the African American community is saying, what we are saying is we are going to reform a broken criminal justice system. And we are in this country going to end institutional racism. And this campaign is listening to our brothers and sisters in the Latino community. They are saying that they are tired of living in the shadows, that they want and need comprehensive immigration reform and a path towards citizenship. I want to make a point that no other candidate running for president will make. And that is that no president, not Bernie Sanders, not anybody else, can address the enormous problems facing this country alone. No president alone can do it. And if anybody here knows, and I'm sure you all do know, how real change has taken place in America, it has always taken place from the bottom on up, not from the top on down. A long, long time ago when I went to school here in Chicago, I worked It was a long time ago. And I worked for a union which no longer is in existence, called the Packing House Workers of America. And the history of that union was workers, black and white and Latino, coming together to fight for dignity, to fight for workers' rights, to fight to end exploitation. Nobody gave them dignity. Nobody gave them decent wages or decent working conditions. They stood up and they fought for their rights. And that is exactly the history of the civil rights movement. From way back when, names that we do not know, names of people who were beaten and killed and lynched, who stood up and said, America is not about racism and segregation and bigotry. They fought back. I want to tell you very briefly something that I learned about a month ago. It's a story of courage, and I didn't know it. Should have known it, I didn't know it. I was in Birmingham, Alabama, and I went to the church that some of you may remember. It was the church that 4 beautiful little children were killed in by some racist bombing. And I went there, and I knew that, but I talked to the guy who runs the church, and he said, Bernie, did you know that during that month, when that terrible bombing took place, there were 14 bombings in Birmingham in that month alone. Imagine a modest-sized city, 14 bombings in order to prevent people from standing up and fighting for racial justice. In other words, you were living in a city run by terrorists at that point. That's the reality. But you know what? Those people in Birmingham, they didn't give up. They stood up and they fought back, and that is the history of civil rights in this country. 100 years ago today, we forget it. 100 years ago today, women in America did not have the right to vote. Women couldn't go to schools, graduate schools, colleges that they wanted to go, couldn't do the work they wanted to do. But women stood up, they fought back, they went to jail, some of them died. And they said that in America, women will not be second-class citizens. And if we were in this room, I'm not talking 100 years ago, 50 years ago, I'm talking 10 years ago, and somebody here stood up and said, you know, I think that in the year 2015, gay marriage will be legal in 50 states in this country. Now, if somebody stood up here 10 years ago, the person next to him would have said, "What are you smoking?" Which is a whole other discussion. Here is what a political revolution is about. Here is what change is about. The gay community, with great courage, stood up, and their straight allies stood with them. And what they said is, you know what? In America, people should have the right to love whoever they want, regardless of their gender. Now, I say those things because that is the way change always comes about. It's when people look around them and say, you know what? The status quo is wrong. And we are going to change it whether the people on top like it or not. Here we are today, February 2016, and the American people are looking around in this country. And what they are asking is, why is it that despite an explosion of technology and an increase in worker productivity, why is it that ordinary people are working longer hours for lower wages? Why is it that we have 47 million people living in poverty? Why is it that almost all new wealth and income created today is going to the top 1%? Why is it in America today that the top 1/10 of 1% now owns almost as much wealth as the bottom 90%? And what the American people are catching on to is that we are living in a rigged economy. I want to give you one example of what a rigged economy is about. A lot of my Republican colleagues run around the country and they say, we need welfare reform. Those poor people are ripping off the welfare system. Today in America, the Walton family of Walmart is the wealthiest family in America. They own, as one family, more wealth than the bottom 40% of the American people. And here's what happens. Walmart pays wages that are so low that many of the workers there go on Medicaid, food stamps, and subsidized housing. Who do you think pays for those food stamps, subsidized housing, and Medicaid? You do. So here is a rigged economy. The middle class and working families pay higher taxes in order to subsidize the wealthiest family in America. So I say to the Walton family, get off of welfare, pay your workers a living wage. That is a rigged economy when working families have to bail out the wealthiest family in this country. It is a rigged economy when working families have to bail out the crooks on Wall Street. Our job together, and I know this is a very, very, very radical idea, but together we are going to create an economy that works for working families, not just the 1%. Now, when we talk about the economy, let me tell you something that I think many of you already know. Front pages of the papers every month, they say official unemployment 5%. Then there's another government study that tells us real unemployment, including those who have given up looking for work, those who are working part-time, add that together, 10%. And what you don't hear much about is the crisis in youth unemployment. High school graduates, 17 to 20. Kids are white, 33% unemployed, underemployed. Latino, 36%. African American, 51%. Now, anybody here think there is not a connection between high rates of youth unemployment and the fact that we have so many people in jail, you would be mistaken. And that is why I believe that as a nation, for our young people, we've got to be investing in education and jobs, not jails and incarceration. Now, as all of you know, I am running against Secretary Hillary Clinton. And I just wanted to take a moment to talk a little bit about some of the differences that she and I have on some important issues. For a start, I am very proud to tell you I do not have a super PAC. I do not receive many millions of dollars from Wall Street or the pharmaceutical industry or other powerful, wealthy interests in this country. And I have not given speeches for hundreds of thousands of dollars to Wall Street. We raise our campaign funds very differently, and I'm very proud to tell you we have received over 4 million individual contributions. And you know what the average contribution is? It's a brilliant audience. $27. So I am proud to be beholden to people who make a $27 contribution. Now, we hear a lot about foreign policy. It's an enormously important part of being president of the United States. The most important foreign policy issue that this country has faced in the last many years is the war in Iraq. You are looking at a former member of the U.S. House of Representatives who heard what George Bush and Dick Cheney and Donald Rumsfeld, who heard what they had to say. I didn't believe them. I voted against the war. My opponent, Secretary Clinton, voted for the war. Now, one of the reasons that the middle class of this country is disappearing has a lot to do with the fact that since 2001, we have lost almost 60,000 factories in America and millions of decent paying jobs. One of the major reasons that corporations have shut down in America, gone to Mexico, China, and other low-wage countries is because of trade policies like NAFTA and permanent normal trade relations with China. You are looking at a former member of Congress and a senator who not only voted against NAFTA, CAFTA, the Chinese trade agreement, but is helping to lead the effort against the TPP. Secretary Clinton supported NAFTA and supported permanent normal trade relations with China. Back in 1996, there was a vote that came before the Congress, which in those days was a very, very difficult vote. It was pushed by right-wingers. It was a homophobic piece of legislation. It was called the so-called Defense of Marriage Act. Anyone hear that? Not widely known. And what it basically said is if a state legalized gay marriage, other states could not acknowledge that marriage, and that gay couples could not get federal benefits. Now, back in 1996, gay rights was not all that popular. I voted against this homophobic legislation. Secretary Clinton then supported it. It is very easy politically, and it's taking place today and it's always taken place, to beat up on minorities and poor people. Very easy. People are helpless. They can't fight back. Back in 1996, there was a piece of legislation that is called the so-called Welfare Reform Bill. And what that bill did is go after some of the poorest and most vulnerable people in this country. The result of that bill is that extreme poverty, the poorest of the poor in America, those numbers doubled as a result of that legislation. I opposed that legislation. Hillary Clinton supported that legislation. Now, when we talk about what has to be done in this country, there is no issue that I think is more important than ending the corrupt campaign finance system that we have. And overturning this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision. What a democracy is about is, if you want to disagree with me, that's fine. That's what democracy is about. But you do not have the right to buy elections. When the Koch brothers, you all know the Koch brothers? You know the Koch brothers. And a few of their billionaire friends, they're going to be spending $900 million on this campaign cycle in order to elect candidates who represent the wealthy and the powerful. Here's a promise. No nominee of mine to the Supreme Court will get that nomination unless he or she is crystal clear they will vote to overturn Citizens United. I am a member of the Senate Committee on the Environment and the Senate Committee on Energy. And I want to make 2 points. Point number one, I've talked to scientists all over this country and all over the world. And what they say almost unanimously, climate change is real, caused by human activity, and is already doing devastating harm to our country and this planet. What they say, and this is scary stuff, that if we don't get our act together, what we are going to see by the end of this century is a planet 5 to 10 degrees Fahrenheit warmer. That means more drought, more floods, more extreme weather disturbances, more acidification of the ocean, more rising sea level, more international conflict as people fight over limited natural resources. We have the moral responsibility as human beings, as parents, as grandparents, to make sure that we leave this planet healthy and habitable for future generations. And we are going to take on the fossil fuel industry. Fossil fuel industry more concerned about their short-term profits than the future of this planet. That is going to change. Oh, easy. Okay, easy. Okay, good. Okay, ma'am, please. No, not right now. You can't. Please. Thank you. Okay. Good. Thank you. Okay, it's all right. All right. We are going to leave this planet in a way that is healthy and habitable for our children and grandchildren. Now, the last point that I want to make is I am criticized very often for a whole lot of things. And one of the areas that I am criticized for is for saying that the United States should do what every other major country on earth is doing, and that is guaranteeing health care to all people as a right. I don't understand something. The United Kingdom, France, Germany, Holland, Scandinavia, Canada, every major country on earth guarantees health care to all of their people. Why can't we? So I have been criticized for saying this, but let me say it again. I believe that health care is a right for all people, not a privilege. And I believe that this country must move forward toward a Medicare for all of our people. Brothers and sisters, look, the world that we live in is a world in which a small number of people on Wall Street, corporate America, large campaign donors, have enormous power. They have an endless supply of money. The only way we defeat them is when we do not allow the Trumps of the world to divide us up. If we stand together as black and white and Latino and Asian American and Native American and gay and straight and man and women, if we do not allow them to divide us up, there is nothing that we cannot accomplish. This campaign is about a political revolution. You can help make that revolution on March 15th here in Illinois. Thank you all very much.
Okay, that was Bernie Sanders at the Chicago State University, downtown Chicago. Awesome speech as always. Hit all of the points that really matter and hit home with people, right, Ryan?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there is a new energy in some of these rallies lately. I don't know if it's like the fact that it's these people's first time seeing him or what, because he's been in a lot of new cities lately, but the energy at these rallies has just been insane lately. I know yesterday in Tulsa was just nuts, and yeah, this was another big, loud, enthusiastic audience.
Yeah, they were great, and I loved Scott's 360 pan shots. They were great. So thank you very much to Scott Galindez of Reader Supported News. and one of our volunteers here at Bernie 2016 TV. We're all volunteers here, and we really appreciate you being in the chat and liking and subscribing to our channel. Alice, what do the chatters and you have to say about Bernie's speech?
I thought that was great. The audience was awesome, super high energy. The chat, they were trying to figure out what happened with that lady with the sign, and I think Scott said that he couldn't see what it said, the sign said either, so nobody knows what she was trying to do.
Some kind of protester. I wonder if it was a Trumper or a Hillary or something completely different.
Yeah, no, I guess it'll remain a mystery until later. I'm sure somebody saw something.
Yeah, I'm sure Twitter will weed it out.
By the way, we just saw also that that there was a shooting in Kansas, so we wanted to send our thoughts out that way. We'll keep an eye out on that situation. I'm sure Bernie's going to be finding out about that momentarily. Not something he wants to find out about that happened during the speech. That's pretty crazy. Okay. If there's no questions or comments in the chat, Alice.
We had like a bajillion. We had over 1,000 people watching at one point right before the stream cut out.
Awesome.
So, yeah, there's a lot. I guess, let's see. Sorry, I'm just cruising through this right now. Has anyone heard? Somebody wanted to know where they could sign up to protect Bernie. He said he's a prior combat vet. So is it Secret Service that's doing it now, or is it a private company that's doing it? Do you guys know?
I think it's Secret Service now.
I think it's Secret Service, yeah.
Yeah. Definitely has Secret Service, but that doesn't mean you can't volunteer in your area where you are to help with event staff, and they need security for event staff. They need all sorts of people. So, yeah, absolutely, I would do that. Tell them to go to the Rally app and find out where their events are happening in their area.
Yeah,
Okay, so
and we're his eyes and ears too. I mean, we need to protect him. I'm protective of Bernie. When he comes here in Arizona, I'm keeping my eyes out. I'm telling you.
Watch out for Nico.
You know, we can carry our guns around here in this state. So, and you know, I won't get into the discussion because I probably have a different opinion than a lot of my colleagues here. So, yeah, I think that gun laws are in Arizona are a little bit out of whack with what Bernie wants. So I am in a state where it's completely different than, you know, like California or Illinois. And Illinois is not really a great example of, you know, gun laws working either, for that matter. But that's a totally different discussion. And what I really wanted to make a statement about was the teachers endorsing Bernie before we go. And I also wanted to talk about the fact that this university is so underfunded, where he was speaking, that they are canceling spring break and cutting the semester off early so that they can maintain the school open. So there's that whole thing going on in Illinois right now, all over the country.
Yeah, I know Wisconsin here, Scott Walker just cut our UW program by $300 million, so there's cuts happening all over my state too with education.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and in Arizona too, Doug Ducey, the budget is horrendous for schools. There's just so much that they can't pay for. There's no budget. In Chicago, there was a couple of articles in the Chicago Tribune stating that Governor Bruce Rauner, quote, under pressure over the dire funding situation at Illinois universities that has led Chicago State University to announce plans to shorten its school year and cancel spring break. Said Wednesday that he's open to finding ways to get money to those schools. So I'm not sure what kind of resources he's thinking of. Do you know, Ryan? Or
no,
Alice?
I don't have any idea.
Can I just interject briefly and just quickly change topic? We had a question in the chat of who we actually are. So can we go through some quick introductions?
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I'm Eniko Nolan. I'm from Phoenix, Arizona, and I'm volunteering for Bernie 2016 TV.
I'm Alice. I'm the on-air comment mod tonight, and I'm in Savannah, Georgia.
I'm Ryan Lavichak, and I'm co-hosting with Nico, and I'm from Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Awesome.
Hi, everybody.
Okay,
Everyone.
carry on. Thanks.
Thank you guys for being in the chat. We love reading your comments and hearing your questions. Anything else from there, Alice?
Someone says they're for open carry dildos. So there you go.
Okay.
Yeah. No, I'm just watching it kind of scroll by. Sorry.
Sorry, either Ryan's frozen or he kept a beautiful straight face when you said that.
Right. Me and Alice are laughing, and Ryan's like,
My video froze, so I didn't even hear what she said, to be honest.
Oh, it's okay.
Alice.
I'm not going to repeat it.
Oh, come on. Now you got
Come on.
Someone said they were for open carry dildos. We were talking about, you know.
Yeah, I would not have kept a straight face through that.
Somebody just thought they'd throw that into the conversation there.
You know, come on.
Me
And
too, though.
I was like, oh my god.
Okay, and back to Bernie.
Okay.
Yeah, back to Bernie. Alice, any other Bernie-related questions or comments?
Let me check the sheet here. No, people are just talking about the rally, you know, where it was, you know, Clinton versus Bernie. So yeah, nope, just people having good conversations. So.
Cool. I saw somebody in there said that, and I saw this earlier, and I pulled an article on it, or just a little website on it. John, it is a list of the new campaign offices that have opened in Illinois recently, and it's the very last link. Do you see it? It says campaign offices open list. But either way, so there are a bunch of campaign offices open in Illinois, and I also I put in there a special little artist contribution. There's a lot of artists in Illinois that are for Bernie. Some of them are painting murals. There's all across the country, but in Chicago specifically, there's a woman named Lori Murphy who is painting a mural of Bernie, and if you don't see the campaign offices one, John, that's in A8. We could go to some slides.
What's happening right now is that Rundown Creator is frozen for me. I can't scroll around, find what you're looking at. So I really don't even know what the links are right now. But I do have some things open. I do have the slides open. We can look at them.
Okay. Yeah. And I can actually just state which cities the campaign offices are open. We've got one in Joliet, Berwyn, DuPage, Chicago Southside, Springfield, Waukegan, Metro East, and Batavia. So if you're in any of those areas, please stop by and grab some brochures, buttons, signs, and maybe do some phone banking. So yeah, some slides would be great. The one for Lori Murphy, she's painting a mural, and she kind of showed us the process of the mural. I don't know if you could see that one, John.
Yeah, I've got that one up. That's the matter of fact, that's the only one that'll load right now. So good choice.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, she has a little studio in Chicago called Wolfhound, I believe, and she decided to make a Bernie mural, and this is what it looks like. She has there's an event at that art center where students come and college administrators come and all kinds of people that are interested in being artists and seeing what the process of being an artist is like. And so she's opening up her space. She said last year there were thousands of people, and this is coming up in Illinois. And her Bernie mural is still right there in her studio for people to come in and see before its installation. So yeah, there you can see it's a red, white, and blue Bernie mural. Looks pretty cool.
I know we've talked about it before, but I just love the artistic creativity that's coming out of this movement. It has just been awesome to see all the art and hear the songs and the videos that people make and everything. And
yeah, I love it too. I actually put, there was in the Rundown Creator that John cannot see right now, so we can't bring it up, but there is an album for Bernie by The Noise Floor. There's different artists on it. I chose one song to play while John was going through all of the art painted and drawn and memed by all of these Bernie supporters, Chicago and elsewhere. I want to say Chicago Artists for Bernie Facebook page and just Artists for Bernie Facebook page. I've got all the pictures from there. They're awesome. They're gorgeous Bernie heads. Every rendition you can think of Bernie. It's really cool.
Chrome broke again, guys. I'm sorry.
It's okay, John. It's
Might
been a
run
long
down
day.
the bus, John. Can't see any of it. That's okay. Maybe I'll just go through the upcoming events then.
Yeah, let's do that.
Do that, because literally, like, I have no tab. I got one tab open, and it's the end song. So
okay.
It's just.
And I changed the end song, by the way, because I'm afraid of the copyright. So I changed it to a really safe one. Did you see that?
It's fine. Yeah, that one's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you. Sorry, guys. Everything just broke, like, literally. So.
Okay. So upcoming stuff that you want to know about, of course, is South Carolina primary is on the 27th. There's a thing called Burn Fest in Chicago, which is basically an event with food and performers and speakers and musicians, etc. And this is in Lincoln Park, and this is the networking event, dinner, and live music show set for 5 to 10 p.m. March 14th at Wild Hair Nightclub on Halstead. It's $30 a ticket if you are interested in doing that and you're in Chicago. And there's also a Bernie Palooza in Rockford, which is kind of a similar type of thing. I believe that is on the 12th, March 12th. They have a Facebook event page if you want to look that up. And there's marches in almost every state on February 27th. There's a Bernie event page for that as well. If you want to look that up, just put in marches for Bernie, February 27th. And also, I wanted to mention a quick local Arizona thing. It doesn't have anything to do with Chicago, but it's an Oak Flat anniversary march, which is taking place this weekend, today, tomorrow, and Saturday. And I'm going to be going to that, getting some video. And Bernie just assigned a Native American advisor to his campaign team. Her name is Tara Hoska. So he is definitely addressing the need to reach out to Native American communities. So just wanted to throw that in there. And then final thoughts from Ryan, Alice, and maybe the chat, some questions and comments.
Sure. Another wonderful rally. Like I said, I have been even more in awe than usual about the enthusiasm and the cheering of these crowds, and it's so nice to have people like Scott to bring us these feeds, and to have people like Aniko and Alice and John and everyone helping in the chat right now. I am every day so thankful for you guys. And I was gone this last weekend and missed you guys all very, very much. So I just want to say thank you for giving me this opportunity to come talk to you about an old man that I like.
Thanks, Ryan. Back at you. And you did an awesome job, by the way, with all that video. You were like hardcore out there with Scott that day. So thank you,
Thank
too.
you. Alice, anything?
Yeah, no, I'm looking at the chat. Sorry. Multitasking.
It's hard to follow the chat. It flies. I can't even try.
I'm looking at, we had like a bunch of questions just pop up at the last We had a request to replay the footage of the protester, but it will be on the archive. So if you come back to this link after we're done, it'll be up and you can scroll through. I don't know, it was towards the end, but you'll be able to find it there if anyone's looking for it. And I guess we had a question about whether the superdelegates are a concern or not. Whether that's going to be, whether superdelegates kind of going rogue and going against the vote that their state has done, whether that's going to impact the election result. What do you guys think about that?
I'm glad you brought that up because there's been a lot of talk about it, and I've heard from sources that we shouldn't worry about it because they're going to flip, which I think I agree with, because if we had the rundown, you could see that I put 4 people in there that have flipped. Not only Nina Turner, but there were 3 other, I think one was a rapper, Little B. Let me just look at my...
Joe Fort?
Yeah, and just today there was another endorsement, and I think that was a senator. Gosh, I can't see it. But
Yes,
anyway,
a
the
state
point is,
senator
yeah, the
from
superdelegates
Georgia.
I think are going to flip over. What do you think, Ryan?
I mean, I would hope so. I was actually just talking about that today with someone about the superdelegates, and I know I can't think of his name offhand, but the governor from Vermont, actually,
Leahy.
yeah, he already came out and said that he doesn't really care how the vote in Vermont turns out. He's going to keep his vote for Hillary. So I am hoping that he and those people will be in the minority as far as respecting the vote of the public. But
Well, he's had a lot of backlash already. I mean, I read the Burlington Free Press because I used to live there, and the article popped up and basically 100+ comments like, no, that's not how it's going to work. So people are not happy that he said that.
Keep in mind, everybody, that historically the superdelegates have never gone against the will of the people. So
right, and that's the thing, is that if they did, it would be mayhem. There's already the tension of the revolution happening right now, and if they were to completely disregard the democratic process, I think it would just be the end of it for everyone involved with the DNC.
Yeah, that would be ridiculous.
You want a job?
And I think,
you want a job, then you better vote the will of the people. That's what it comes down to.
Exactly.
It's really what it comes down to. It's what we're saying. You want a job, you better vote for Bernie.
Yeah, and it was State Senator Vincent Fort, a Democrat of Georgia. He explained why he switched his support from Hillary to Bernie. Fort said that studying Sanders' record, history, and positions on issues as Medicaid helped him to make that choice. So that's pretty awesome. We'll just keep them coming, and we'll let you know when they happen. I truly, in my heart, believe that they would not go against their constituents because of losing their job. John said the pitchforks are coming, and maybe that's true because, if you totally go against what the people in your state want, you're out of there. So, and I think they're only like 15% of the whole. Am I correct on that? Do you guys know? I think superdelegates only make up 15%, so they can't really, unless they can't really sway the entire election if the states really vote that way for Bernie.
I was not aware of it being around 15%. I thought it was a little more than that.
Yeah, I would have assumed it was more also because they are making such a big deal about it. Like that it would
I could have sworn I read that. It was just like something that I read. I don't want to confirm it for people, but I'll have to look that up. So, but anyway, yeah. Anything else you guys want to say? Otherwise, we're gonna take off and say goodbye. We had a great Bernie rally.
No, thank you guys both so much. You made my job really easy here. Great job. Thank you.
Thank you, guys. John, anything else?
Newsroom tomorrow at noon Eastern, and we can run a video that talks about superdelegates if we want. There's a couple really good ones that that explain why we don't have to worry. And if we do, then we know it's pitchfork time anyway, guys. Really.
Right.
If you want to play that punk song that I put, or you can put that beautiful thing that Freeman made, that would be cool to see at the end too. I know that's safe to play.
You gotta give me 2 seconds to pull it up. Talk for another.
Yeah, that is beautiful. I watched it a couple times. We have a volunteer, Freeman M. He put together an amazing video with what Bernie answered to a question about his spirituality in an interview. I forget who was doing the interview.
Loved that. It was in the town hall in South Carolina. And I am a secular humanist. I'm an agnostic, and I so appreciate that that he's representing spirituality on a higher level, like with not as much specificity as people usually do. Like I really appreciate that for myself.
It's all inclusive, and I'm saying
exactly.
All right,
it doesn't divide. That's what I love about Bernie.
Totally.
He's all about bringing everybody together.
All right, I'm ready to go.
All right, everybody, here it is.
Thank you, John. Bye, Alice.
Good night, everybody.
This is what I believe. Every great religion in the world, Christianity, Judaism, Islam, Buddhism, essentially comes down to do unto others as you would like them to do unto you. As a 22-year-old kid getting arrested in Chicago fighting segregation, I believed it in my whole life. That we are in this together, not words. The truth is, at some level, when you hurt, when your children hurt, I hurt. I hurt. And it's very easy to turn our backs on kids who are hungry or veterans who are sleeping out on the street. And we can develop a psyche, a psychology which says, I don't have to worry about them. All I'm going to worry about myself. I need to make another $5 billion. Hey, this whole world is me. I need more and more. I don't care about anybody else. I believe that what human nature is about is that everybody in this room impacts everybody else in all kinds of ways that we can't even understand. It's beyond intellect. It's a spiritual, emotional thing. When we say that that child who is hungry is my child, when we do the right thing, when we try to treat people with respect and dignity, I think we are more human. That's my religion. That's what I believe in. And I think, most people around the world, whatever their religion, their color, share that belief that we are in it together as human beings. If we destroy the planet because we don't deal with climate change, trust me, we are all in it together. That is what my spirituality is about. Huge